Good morning, I'm Jeff Wertz with Spartan RV Chassis. Today we're at Newmar's Country Club in Pueblo, Colorado. We're going to go over some of the history and features and benefits of the Spartan RV Chassis. I'll turn it over to my partner, Big Mike O'Neill, to go through some of the technical specs, operation, and maintenance. So Spartan RV Chassis, we're in Charlotte, Michigan. We've been building chassis for RVs since about 1986. We brought a lot of innovations to the market, including independent front suspension, collision mitigation, passive steer tag axles. So we'll talk through some of those in details later on in the video here. One of our features that we really like is our 20-year frame warranty. So we offer that as a 20-year transferable frame warranty. So regardless if you keep the coach for 20 years or you're on your third or fourth, somebody else will pick that up and run with that. We also offer a 5-year, 100,000-mile chassis warranty. So that covers the other components on the chassis. We utilize Cummins engines, Allison transmissions, both industry leaders in powertrain and drivetrain components. We can go through some of the features on the chassis here real quick if we can. So our foundation is our frame rail, our frame system. Our frames are 3/8 thick. We offer that 20-year warranty on the frame rail, the frame cross member, and the frame gusset as well. And again, these are purpose-built chassis for motorhomes. So we work with the OEMs designed to their specifications. So they may have an idea for a new floor plan, new length of coach. We'll work with them, figure out what kind of weights we're gonna have on the axles and select components, brakes, tires, wheels, etc. to match that up. Make sure we've got a high performing coach for you in the end. Real quick back here. We talked about the passive steer tag axle. So our passive steer tag axle has a 17 degree capability on that turn. So as you're turning this chassis or coach to the right, these wheels would actually turn a little bit that way to follow the curve of the coach as it goes around the corner. We've got our side mounted service center back here, batteries, air dryer, fuel filter, our rear PDC, which is our power distribution center. So we've got fuses and relays there. We've got a nice little legend. You can go through and figure out what circuit is you're shooting for, and you got spare fuses and a little tool there to replace those as well. With that, I think I'll turn that over to Big Mike O'Neill.
Good morning, folks. My name is Big Mike, aka Mike O'Neill. I'm the technical trainer at Spartan RV Chassis, and today we're going to do a walk around on the chassis to talk about some of the highlights of the Spartan chassis that we use in our current RV product. We're going to start up in the front here. You'll see here we got some nice colored lines here. The reason we color our lines is for easy identification. So when you're troubleshooting the air system, it gives you less downtime. It's easier to troubleshoot the system. You can see different colors here. We have the green lines, which are primary brakes, which is the rear brakes. They are the big ones that come on first. And then you'll see you'll have red lines here. This is for the front brakes. And of course, these are the secondary air that you'll see on your gauge. You'll see rear air and front air. And then you'll see orange lines here. This is for the park brake. And this is for your yellow knob up on the dash that controls the park brake. So let's move our way down. We're going to come down here to the side now. And right now, currently, I'm looking at the Ballard auxiliary air compressor. We use Ballard suspensions on our higher line RV chassis. This is a automatic leveling system, airbag leveling system that allows you to use your airbags instead of your jacks if you don't want to use your jacks down. This auxiliary compressor here, as long as you're plugged into shore power or you have battery power, this compressor wakes up every 2 hours and looks at level. It's looking at the level of the chassis. When it's not level, this compressor will kick on. It will get the chassis back up to level, then it'll shut back off. It'll wake up again at 2 hours. If the chassis is at level, obviously we're not going to have any operation of this compressor. But again, when it needs to work, it will keep you level, and you will not have to use your jacks if you don't want to. Moving down to here, you'll notice we are using Coney shocks today in production. Koni shocks are a very high quality shock. They've been used quite a long time in the RV industry. They give you that high quality ride that Spartan wants to give to their customers. So we are currently using Koni shocks on all of our product in production today. Moving on down, move our way down here to the fuel tank. This is a 150-gallon fuel tank. This is going to be on the bigger K3 chassis. It'll be on the Essex, the Mountain Air, and the London Air, and then we'll go 165 when you get to the King Air. So you get a little bit more fuel, a little bit more longer ride. So keep working our way down the chassis here. This module right here is my ABS ESC module. A lot of acronyms, so let's talk about it. ABS is anti-lock brake system. This is used on all Spartan chassis. An ESC module is electronic stability control. This is for the operator. You're coming down the road, you get off on an exit ramp, and you're going just a little too fast. This will take over and start to apply the brakes, slow the coach down so you can safely operate going down the highway. This is standard on all of our high line product, and this is the Wabco ABS and ESC modules. All right, let's work our way back down this way now. Tag axle. We have what we call a passive steer tag axle. It is not a steering mechanism, and as Jeff had told you earlier, Mr. Wertz, about the angularity of it, let's talk about the operation. On your dash, you will have a 3-position switch. You will have auto. When you put it in auto, this tag axle, when you put it in reverse, it's going to dump the air out of the tag axle, which leaves the weight off here. It does not lift the tag axle, it just dumps the air off here. When I dump air off here, I am now pushing weight to the front. Yes, we are still scrubbing the tire, but with less weight on it, there's less scrub on here. We are putting the weight on 4 tires instead of 2. These handle scrub a lot better. So when you're backing up, again, the tag will dump out. So that's auto. Obviously, when you go back and forward, then the air is going to come back up into the tag, bring it back up to its ride height position as you're traveling down the highway. There's also a manual button that says off, and this button is a latching button. You'll push it and latch, and it will actually turn off the dump feature. Now you're going to ask Big Mike, why would I want to turn off my dump feature on my tag axle? You're trying to back into a very tight spot in your camp spot. You start to back up, you get a little close to that tree, and you're going, uh-oh, we got to pull back forward. So as we're backing up, you will hear the airbags dump. That is consuming air, and you'll watch your air gauges start to drop out. You're only at idle at 750 RPM, so your compressor's not fully efficient right now. So we're going to not dump this tag when you shut it off. This is so you can pull up, back up, pull up, back up. You can do it 2 or 3, 4 times without having to worry about your low air light coming on. Because obviously when you get below 60 PSI, the spring brake inside the braking system will start to apply. At this point, you're gonna have to stop, put it in neutral, rev the engine up. This will keep you from having to do that, so you can shut it off. Now, there's also a manual where you can do the manual control. Manual control will dump the tag manually. So if you want to go around a corner and you want to reduce scuff on your tag axle, yes, you can dump the tag axle manually. It is a momentary switch, so you have to hold the button down. If you let go of the button, obviously the tag axle is going to reinflate and go back up to ride height again. So this is a feature also for people that have tight turns in a nice white driveway. You don't want to leave those black skid marks all over your driveway. Obviously, you're going to get a little black marks because the tire is going to leave a little, but it won't be so deep because it is taking the weight off from here and allowing less scrub on the tag axle on your coach. All right, so let's walk on back here. Campground friendly cooling system. Let's talk about this. On this chassis here, if you want to follow me back here, I'll show them. Our cooling system is run off of a belt driven. This is K3 chassis. This is belt driven. This is a clutch system here. It's 2 speeds. If you look really close here, you can see what I'm pointing to with my finger here. These are little super magnets here, these little buttons right here. And as this coach starts up, the magnets are what is drawing that fan, so we have the fan moving. It's not doing a lot of cooling, but we want it to move because what I don't want is this fan to be stopped, and at 1700 RPMs, all of a sudden I engage that clutch, and I'm gonna throw all the fan blades off that fan. So what I do is the magnets will draw that fan. And then of course when the clutch comes, I've already got it moving, it goes to a higher speed. This is for, again, power down to the wheels or fuel economy, whatever one you want. We don't always have the fan engaged. So the ECM will look at 3 different things. It'll look at intake temperature. That's your charged air cooler on the top. If you want to slide back over here to the radiator, this section right here of your cooling system is for your charged air cooler. This is intake air. The air that's going in from the intake is going directly into a turbocharger right here, which is compressing that air, which is heating it up quite a bit. So what I want to do is make sure that is cool down enough so I don't damage the engine. So the top part of my cooler is just for the intake air. The bottom part of the radiator down here, this is actually the radiator. This is where the coolant's at. This is what cools off your engine. So you'll have 2 different coolers here, and then on this Newmar product you'll see air conditioning condenser also too. This is for your dash air conditioning. So it looks at condenser pressure, intake air temperature, and engine coolant temperature. And then of course the fan operates accordingly. So come on back around here and we'll show you. You're riding down the road. All of a sudden, high coolant alarm comes on. If you've ever been in one of Big Mike's class, we always tell you the first thing we want you to do is turn on your backup camera. What are we looking for? Any steam coming out the back. If steam's coming out the back, we're shutting it down. We obviously have a coolant leak at this time. We're going to shut this vehicle down. But you turned on your camera, there is no steam coming out the back. So next thing I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you rev up the engine. Increase your duty cycle. Try to get because what we're doing is trying to build more fan speed. If you look at this radiator, it's a side-mounted radiator. Air is blowing by it at 65 miles an hour, and it's got to be turning a right angle to go across that cooler to cool it off. The slower that fan goes, the less air comes across here, the less efficient my cooler can be. The other thing also too with RPMs, you have a water pump that's based down here. The water pump is operated off the serpentine belt, and that is, of course, when it's going slower, the water pump's going slower, so we're heat soaking the antifreeze as it goes through. So by increasing our duty cycle or picking up our RPMs, it makes the fan more efficient, makes the coolant go. At this point, if my temperature goes down, I just was lugging the engine, I probably was going up a hill a little slow, and I was getting heat soaked. But your temperature is not going down, it's going up. At this point, we're going to tell you we're going to stop and we're going to get on to someplace safe, not the side of the highway. Exit ramp, parking lot, truck stop, any place, rest area, any place that's not on the highway. We're going to shut the engine off. If you look right here, there's 2 cap screws here. These 2 cap screws right here, these are tools. You'll notice on this ear there is a hole in here, and if you can get the angle right there, can you get over on this side? I think over here you can see it a little better. I'm lining up the threaded portion of the clutch with this ear right here. I'm going to take that bolt out of there and I'm going to install that there, and then 180 degrees off, it's hard to see, but it's on this side, the other bolt will go in there, and now I'm mechanically locking the fan in. This will get you off the road to a service center. This is not to be used to get you through the summer to go camping, because that is not really a heavy duty ear, but it's designed to get you off the road safely so you don't have to be towed by a tow truck. So that's one of the nice features of a Spartan is we offer you that option to keep you from being towed. Obviously anybody knows tow trucks are not very good towing RVs, so it'd be better if we get you off the road without having to be towed. All right, so now obviously we have our air cleaner here. It's a 1-piece element. This air cleaner is 1 year life. You're going to say to me, Big Mike, 1 year? But I only put 3,000 miles on my coach this year. Folks, the element that's inside of here is made out of paper. One thing we know about paper is when it's inside of a canister and you're getting it wet, because as it's raining, this is drawing rain into here, that paper gets wet, then dry, then wet, then dry. It starts to lose its ability to stay paperish. It gets dried up, it gets brittle. You have a turbocharger down there, approximately 110,000 RPMs at 65 miles an hour. It's how fast the blades are spinning inside that turbo. Piece of paper getting sucked into that turbo can cause detrimental damage to your turbocharger and even to your engine. The air cleaner is a 1-piece unit. It does not have an element inside of it, so you will just take the whole 1-piece unit off. You will install a new piece back in there. So just make sure you keep your air cleaner changed on a regular basis so we don't have to worry about doing damage to the turbocharger or to your engine. We do have a restriction indicator gauge here. This is designed so you can see when this filter is starting to increase its life. So you'll notice on the top here, we got the green, or down at the bottom, I'm sorry, is green. And of course, that's giving my okay. Once I get towards the top here, you can see 20 to 25 inches up here, it's red. It says it's time to change this filter. It's being plugged. But this is not for its life. This is just telling you, you may have gone down a dirty road and got a lot of dust sucked up in here, and it could possibly cause this filter to get filled up before its 1 year cycle. So this is not for the life of the filter, it's just telling you how the filter is operating. So I tell people, come back here and look at this, but don't use this as a gauge. 1 year on this air cleaner here. Now, we talked about fluids. Let's talk about those. This is my transmission dipstick here. We're going to go up to the front here a little bit in a minute, and I'm going to show you how to use the touchpad up at the front there, because Allison has electronics now that do wonderful things for the transmission now. One of the things is the level check, and it's done, and we'll show you when we get up there. But this will possibly have to be used for what we call a pre-trip or safety. So let's talk about this. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. I'm going to show you. Can you kind of zero in on it? The cold. Right there you can see the cold mark. I'll put my finger over here. Right there is cold. Between those two lines right there, that's my cold check. Now I'm going to explain a cold level check and how you do it properly. So first I need to do is get this dipstick back in here. I'm going to go up to the front of the coach, and I'm going to start the engine at idle. Not high idle, just regular idle. On a flat level surface. After 1 minute, we're going to come back here with the still idling. Do not shut it off. And I'm going to pull the dipstick out. I'm going to fold it out, and I'm going to wipe it off with a clean cloth. Then I'm going to reinsert it back into the dipstick tube, take it back out. It should be between the add and the full mark on the cold check side of the stick. Obviously, transmission fluid, when it gets hot, it expands. It needs to be checked hot. But again, for pre-trip safety, to make sure you have the proper level, that's cold level check. We'll use the touchpad up front a little bit later when we walk around the chassis and get up there and show you how to use the touchpad up there so you can check your fluid level up there, because Allison would really like you to use the touchpad, not the dipstick, for hot level check. Obviously, next one I have here is my engine oil dipstick here, and of course this is for engine oil. This is my remote fill, so if you need to put oil in your engine, you don't have to worry about trying to get a big funnel down into there. This is your oil fill here. This guy here is my hydraulic reservoir. On this chassis, it is only for steering and steering only. There is a filter down in this here, inside the bottom of this reservoir. It uses AW46 hydraulic oil. One of the things with Spartan is AW is a special chemical additive called anti-wear. This is for under high heat and conditions that will possibly cause your wear and tear to your hydraulic components, the pump, the steering gear. So the AW additive is added in there to give you longer longevity life of your components in your hydraulic system. Obviously the top is a dipstick. You can pull it out. Again, I do have a hot and a cold side of the check stick. So this should be checked on every pre-check also too, to make sure that's up to par. Next one I have over here is my coolant. And you can see in here, there's an eyeglass here. This is my surge tank here. So a good check of this is just to come over here and look at the eye level to make sure it's somewhere in that glass. It doesn't have to necessarily always be full, but again, it needs to be somewhere visual in this glass so you can see the antifreeze. This guy here is my auxiliary air. Obviously on this guy here, this is for air for things like your tires. Maybe your grandkids have some inflatables or stuff like that, so you can air these up. One of the nice things Spartan has come up with is the air booster. We may get a picture of that a little bit later, but we sell an air booster now. And one nice thing about the air booster is this is a great tool right here. But when your big 365 70R 22.5 tires need 115 PSI and you're trying to use this auxiliary air connection, it's not quite the best. It's hard to get to 115 PSI because here's the problem. I have a compressor on here that's run by the engine. It's a small piston, about 3.5 inches in diameter. And the volume is the problem. I can get pressure, but I can't get volume. And what's going to happen is the volume in the tire will overcome the volume in the compressor, which will make it hard to get those tires aired up. By using the air booster that we sell, You can plug it into your existing shop air connection, and it will now double the pressure. It will overcome the volume. We did some testing back at Spartan a while back. We took a 365 70R 22.5 tire down to 70 PSI, took it up to 125 in less than 3 minutes. So you don't have to sit around all afternoon trying to air up your tires. And again, it can air up your car tires, inflatables for your grandkids, anything. It's a great tool and it works real well. Now, let's talk about this guy back here. Toe brake safe haul. This is one of our things that we do at Spartan. If we can walk around this way, I'll let you go camera that way. I'll come over here. This air tank right here. This is for your towed vehicle. This comes standard now on all Spartan chassis products. This is designed specifically air supply for your towed vehicle. Big Mike, when he talks about air classes, uses the term FMVSS 121. That's the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard, Chapter 121. It is the Bible of air brakes of North America, the laws we have to meet. And this meets the letter of the law. Prior to this, people were tapping into our system all over the place to put in toe brakes because, again, they want something that's modulated. That's one nice thing about this. When you step on your brakes hard in the front up there, I get the same brake back to my tow vehicle because this is modulated off the pedal. There are surge brakes or electrical brakes, not so much modulated. It works more, it does have a accelerometer built into the controller. It's not quite modulated as well as air. So this is the Primo right here, and this has been on Spartan Chassis for quite some time. This is, again, added for safety and for comfort for you folks. So you can haul your tow car and know that you're gonna get the right braking. So I'm gonna work around the chassis over to the other side, and we'll talk about some other things over here. Right here. All right, so now, this is the service center. One of the nice things about the service center is, you will notice, I have my air dryer back here. The air dryer is used to dry the air for, obviously, the brakes, the air suspension, and then the most favorite thing that everybody likes on their RV, the air horn. Yes. So, this air dryer cartridge is to be replaced every 2 years. You're gonna say to me, well, Big Mike, how do I know if it's really working or not? Well, when we go farther up in the video, we're gonna talk about draining the air tanks. We'll go through the air tank draining procedure on video so you guys can understand how to do this and do this properly. This is giving you peace of mind and confidence that you have good dry air in your system that's operating the chassis. So the air dryer is part of it, and it's probably one of the most important parts. Next I got over here is, of course, my primary fuel filter with a fuel water separator. You'll notice on the K3 there is a clear bowl on the bottom. Obviously diesel fuel, it's lighter than water, so if there was to get any water in here, you would see a clear spot in the bottom of this bowl. So you come back, you happen to notice a little clear line in the bottom there. So you say, I got water in here. Big Mike, how do I get rid of it? You'll notice there's a petcock on the bottom here. This is your WIF sensor here, WIF, water in fuel. So you're gonna say to me, Big Mike, how do I know if I got water in fuel if I don't go back here and look? That WIF sensor is attached to a warning light on your dash. If you get water in your fuel, what you have is 2 probes in here. They sit in the bottom of the filter. 12 volts to this one when you turn the key on, ground to this. Diesel fuel coming across here is not a good conductor of electricity. Water is. At this point, the light's gonna come on your digital dash and you'll have a warning alarm that'll say water and fuel. There'll be an icon on your dash that looks like a little fuel pump that looks like it's in a rainstorm. So at this point, you do not have to cut off 6 lanes of traffic to get off the highway because you're gonna melt down your pump. No, again, as soon as you can possibly get off the road safely, take your vehicle off the road, shut the vehicle off, get yourself an approved container. And Big Mike always does the wink wink because everybody says, Big Mike, it's just water. Well, tell that to the DOT officers you're opening up a fuel filter and draining it onto the ground. So you're gonna come back here, grab this petcock with your hand. Do not use a wrench, it's plastic, you will break it. You'll put your container down here, open it up, drain it until good colored diesel fuel comes out. Once good colored diesel fuel comes out, you will notice there's gonna be a vacate in the filter. There'll be air in there. We have to get the air out. So now, we're gonna go up to the front of the coach. If you have a key switch, you'll turn the key to the on position. When you turn the key to the on position, the lift pump will run for 60 seconds and then shut off. You're gonna ask me, what's a lift pump? Big Mike, it's an electric pump. Cummins uses what they call a CAPS 2 pump. Cummins Accumulator Pumping System version 2. It's two little pistons that's producing 40,000 PSI. And if you don't believe me, if you want to zero into the sticker right here, you'll notice that that sticker shows a hand, and there's a lot of skin missing right there. It says under high pressure. Yes, it can cut your skin, it can cut your bone. It's very dangerous. You don't want to mess around with these high pressure connectors. You never want to open these up. Technicians have a metal shield that goes across there to direct that spray away from your skin. Do not mess around with these. They're very dangerous. So we're going to go back to our key switch. The electric lift pump is that guy that little cylinder shaped guy right there down there, the little red cylinder. That's a lift pump. Is electric. It runs for 60 seconds and shut off. What it's doing is it's drawing fuel out of the tank. It's coming to the primary filter. Secondary filter, I'll show you that in a minute. That's in the back of the chassis back there. It's going through there. Then it's going into the fuel pump right here. As a matter of fact, you can see this banjo fitting right here. That's the inlet. In that banjo fitting is a little check spring and a ball. Air and liquids do not compress well together. I will have a pressure drop. At that point, the ball will drop out. The air is not going into the pump. It's going back to the return line that goes back to the tank. Now, you're not done. You've only done this once and it's shut off. If you have a push button, foot on the brake, push the button once. Do not hold the switch in because it will start. I do not want you to start. This will get you air up on the high side, which will be an airlock. You will be calling that professional mechanic to bleed this system because he will have to open those injector lines. But you're not going to do that. After the 60 seconds is shut off, turn the key off, back to off. It's the key switch. If it's a push button, just hold the button again with your foot off the brake and it will go shut off. We will recycle this 2 to 3 times. Once you're done, start to crank. If you don't start within 15 seconds, get off the starter, go back to cycling the lift pump. I don't want to push the air up on the high side, folks. Again, I don't want you messing with this. Do not play around with this. It's very dangerous. All right, on the service center back here also too, you'll see 2 Group 31 batteries. These are the chassis batteries that we provide at Spartan. You also see the master cutoff switches here. Obviously, this is for Spartan, this is for the bodybuilder because they use our chassis batteries. This does not cut 100% battery power. It doesn't kill it dead. You still have computers that need to have their memory stored, so they need battery power. So it's still going to be a very small draw, about 300 milliamps for anybody that's not into the metric system or electronics. That's a very small draw, about 0.3 amps. And again, it can draw the batteries down over time. So if you're going to store it, I tell people, you either have to disconnect the batteries or keep it plugged into shore power to keep the batteries up. You'll also notice back here we have a rear PDC or fuse box. This runs all the rear components in the chassis. This would be things like rear marker lights, brake lights, tail lights, your tow power, power for your engine control module, your transmission control module. And then when you open up the cover, you'll see, I'll get it up, kicked up for you. It gives you a label of each one and where they're located. Not only do we do that, we put a couple extra spare fuses, and then there's a fuse puller right here so you can get that stuff out of there. So this is your rear fuse box in the back. All right, I'll put that baby, yeah, we'll leave that right there. All right, so let's go over here. Now, this is the valid control center back here for the rear. You will notice this panel back here. You'll see 6 Schrader valves back here, and you'll notice it says right front, right drive, left front, left drive, left tag, right tag. This is in case of an emergency. You're driving down the road, air compressor quits, electric goes out or something, and currently I cannot get any air to my bags. I'm stuck in the middle of the highway, and you certainly don't want to drive this when it's down on the bottom of the airbags because you have no wheel well clearance for your wheels. It'll tear the wheel wells out. So you can come back here with a separate compressed air component and you can fill, well, I'll go ahead and take these off so you can see. That's a regular Schrader valve. Now you'll notice it says 100 PSI max. I don't want you to put 100 PSI into each one of these because you can tweak the body. Chassis is not so important, it's pretty flexible, but I'm worried about your tile floor, that big windshield up in the front. We don't want to tweak it and crack it and bust something. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up here and you can see I'll go left front, 30 PSI. Right drive, we're going counter, going across, 30 PSI. Right front, 30 PSI. Left drive, 30 PSI. Then I can go to right tag, left tag. And again, 30, 30, 30, and then 10, 10, 10. Bring it up in increments so we don't damage the body. That's all I'm worried about right now. So this is your emergency fill panel. This will get you enough air, get you lifted up so you can get this safely off the highway so you're not stuck in the middle of the road. Let's swing back here real quick and I can show them the other filter back here. This is your secondary fuel filter here. And of course, you'll notice there's some shutoffs here. Cummins was nice enough to put these in here now. So you do-it-yourselfers, you don't have to worry about fuel drenching you as you take those off there. We also have it on the primary filter also too. All right, let's keep on moving our way up. Let's see. We'll come up to the front here. Come on up. Right here in my hand, you'll see I have 3 lanyards. These are connected to my air tanks up here. I have 3 air tanks here. I have a primary tank here. Again, this is the green lines. This is my rear brakes. I have a secondary tank here. This is red lines. This houses air for my front brakes, my airbags, or my air suspension, and again, your air horn, accessory requiring air. So this tank holds quite a bit. It's hard to see this tank down here, but there's a 3rd tank down here, and this is my wet or supply tank down here, and that would be my silver lanyard. So, in order to drain these tanks properly, we're going to do what we call a safety check. The law states in case of a catastrophic loss of air pressure, I must have a check valve installed in here. So if the line gets knocked off between the wet tank and the primary tank, my primary tank does not drain down to 0, compromising your ability to drive down the highway. I need air to release the brakes. So what'll happen is I'll have a check valve there. It allows air to flow to the tank, but if it was to get knocked off the air line, it will not leak back out. We want to test those. So here's how it's going to go. We're going to start out first looking at going to your coach and look at your air gauges. You have a rear and a front air gauge. If they're above 100 psi, I want you to take your foot and bleed the brake pedal. Push the brake pedal and bleed the air down below 100. At this point, I want you to start the coach up. Use your high idle. Now, a lot of people ask me, Big Mike, how do I get high idle? On the Newmar product, you have your cruise stock. It's your cruise control. You'll hit the cruise on, and then you'll slide the selector over on the middle to set and release it. At this point, it'll go up to 1,000 RPMs, and now you're waiting to hear either whoosh come out the back or watch my secondary air gauge bleed off about 10 psi that I'm using to clear my air dryer out with. At this point, I'm going to shut the engine off because I don't want the compressor to compress any more air. But I want to turn the key back on. So again, if it's a key switch, turn to the on position, push button, foot on the brake once, and then just touch the button momentarily and release. At this point, the air gauges are up. You're going to probably see approximately between 135. It may even look like 150 on your gauge. That's fine. Now, we're going to have you come out to the front wheel well. Now, I've talked to a lot of customers. These look nice right here. You can see I have a silver, green, and a red. After Newmar gets done with it, they undercoat it, so they're probably all black. But I tell people, you can either scrape a little bit of this paint off, or you can get some paint thinner and wipe these clean. Or I tell people there's duct tape. There's silver duct tape, green duct tape, red duct tape. You can put a little piece on here so you can see it. If you like the numbers 1, 2, and 3, you can also put them on there also too. Take your awning hook. This is going to be reaching through the front of the wheel well, so it's going to be tight in there. I don't want your arm in there in case this does come down. It shouldn't come down, but I don't want it, in case it does fail, I don't want your arm in there. So now I'm going to pull this silver and I'm going to drain this. The tank I told you was in the back here, so you're going to be looking. You need to be on concrete because we're looking for significant moisture. What's significant moisture? Anything in excess of 3 inches diameter wetness. Again, some moisture can come out of this tank. Air dryers are not 100%. It's designed to trap it in this tank, but your job is to make sure it's not there. So you drain the silver completely empty. Now, you're going to go up into the coach and you're going to look at the gauges. The gauges should read, both air gauges, front and rear, they should read anything but 0. There's no magic number, but if you see 0 on one of the gauges, the check valve between the primary and the wet tank has failed. At this point, you need to call our customer service and tell them what's going on. They'll let you know if it's safe enough to drive or if we need to send a mobile mechanic. But right now, you went into the coach and guess what? Your gauge is at 125 and 105. Right now, we're good. So now we're going to reach in with our hook and we're going to pull the green. And again, I'm going to pull that until it completely drains out. Now, the drain for the green, or the primary, is up in the front. So you're going to be looking in front of the wheels this time for moisture on the concrete. You need to be on pavement. We're going to drain that completely empty. No significant moisture. Now we look at the gauges. One gauge should be at 0. One should be at anything but 0. If they both go down to 0, the check valve between the secondary tank and the wet tank has failed. And again, a call to Spartan customer service is definitely needed to make sure this is taken care of. But right now, 0, 100. Reach in, and we grab the red one now. The red one, we drain that, and again, that'll be up in the front of the wheels again because the drain is in the front there. So we will drain those at this point until it's completely empty. All gauges at 0, no moisture, button it up, starting it up, drive it like you stole it. Now, let's talk about the quick check, because you don't need to do this every time you take off. Once a month during operation is when you need to do the safety check. The quick check, real easy. Start your coach up, air it up completely, shut it off, come down, grab the silver for 15 seconds, no moisture, good. Green, 15 seconds, no moisture, good. Red, 15 seconds, no moisture, good. Everybody's happy, hunky-dory. That's your pre-check. Nice dry air. That's what we need to drive safely down the road and stop. All right, so let's cover, I think you're gonna wanna be back here because you're gonna shoot at that shift pad. Yes, ma'am. Oh, okay. We good? You betcha. Oh, God, oh my God, Ramona. Oh my God. Oh God, how are you doing?
I am doing great, and congratulations.
Yes, I know. Okay, if I get a minute, I want to show you the pictures, but I got.
Yes.
I'm filming right now.
No, that's okay. I'll wait for you.
You know I'm still using the ice maker.
Steven told me it's still working. I said, no way.
I think you guys, every time I turn it on, I really do.
Well, you know, we knew you needed it up there at the upper.
And you know, he said, I love you. You know, I still love you guys. I never lose that. You know that. You guys make me tick. Besides my wife.
I'll wait for it.
Sorry, it's got good help. She's one of my good customers. Okay, let's talk about the shift pad up here. Oh, Jeff, turn me off. Hang on. Let me go turn my power back on. Can we pause real quick? All right. All right, so let's talk about the Allison shift pad. There's lots of different functions on here. So when I turn the key to the on position, you can see right here it says Allison transmission, 2 ends. Do you see the wrench right there? Oops, I'm gonna turn it on again. Let's try it again. Watch. N and then the wrench. The wrench between the 2 ends is trying to tell you, if it comes on and stays on, it's trying to tell you something needs to be done maintenance-wise. But let's talk about this first. Allison says to use the shift pad to check your fluid level with, because it's deadly accurate. Dipsticks, we talked about this in class. Dipsticks are horseshoes and hand grenades. They get you close, but not in the dollars. So, to check this electronically, sump temperature needs to be 120 degrees. I'm gonna tell you this much, it's not gonna be, but you need to start the coach. At idle, not high idle. Now, after you've been running down the highway for, I don't know, half hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, the hairy kids gotta get out and stretch their legs at the rest area. You pull into the rest area, pull the park brake, hit neutral. Now you see this. You're gonna take your fingers, the up and down buttons. Simultaneously, I'm gonna push them and release them. It says right there, reading oil level. Oh, oil temp's too low. So obviously Big Mike has not been running. I'll wait. Obviously I've not been running this long enough, so I cannot check it. So again, it has to be hot. So you gotta be driving down the highway. But I'm gonna go ahead and shut this off right now and turn it back on so we don't have to talk over the engine. We'll get it back on again. There's other things now. You're driving down the road and somebody happens to notice the wrench comes on between the 2 ends. It's trying to tell you something needs to be checked. So here's what I'm gonna do. Once was for oil level check, so I'm gonna do 1, 2, and you'll notice it says oil life. Right now this is 99%. Now you're gonna ask me, how does this know oil life? It looks at time, and then it also looks at duty cycle, and that's shifts per mile. Obviously in an RV, this is a very light duty cycle. Folks, We don't do a lot of shifting, we do a lot of highway miles. So again, I've noticed at Spartan, we still have coaches coming in with 30% oil life, and it's 5 years or when the shift pad tells you to. So at 5 years, you still have to change it, even though it may say 30% life on here, because it does have a timeout. So again, 5 years or when this tells you to. Now, if I push the buttons again, it'd be 3 times, you'll see it says filters. You have a main and a loop filter inside of there. Across those 2 filters, there's a pressure sensor. And when it increases or it goes outside of that delta, it says too big of a pressure drop. One of the filters or both the filters are plugged and they need to be replaced. So it will say replace filters on there. Now, obviously the wrench will be on also too. But again, if it's at 5 years and we haven't replaced the filters, it will be replaced with the oil. I push the up and down buttons again and it tells me now transmission health. And right now it says NA because it's not being operated, it's not running right now, but it's checking clutch thickness. That's kind of crazy, but automatic transmissions use fluid, pressurized fluid to engage clutches. What it's doing is a solenoid opens up, allows pressurized fluid into a cavity, and then it closes and traps that pressurized fluid to keep the clutches engaged. When I want to release the clutches, I open up the solenoid, let the pressure come out. It's measuring the amount of time the solenoid stays open till the clutches engage. You don't have to worry about this. You're not going to wear out the clutches on your Allison transmission. This is a great tool. All right, one more thing. Now, I hit it one more time again, and you can see it says no codes, but this is diagnostic codes. Anytime you see something that says check transmission and you need to check the codes, you will hit this up and down buttons 4 times to get this on there. So again, a lot of information on the Allison shift pad to get you where you need to be. All right, so now let's talk about the Spartan startup procedure. We like our customers to do this because we want to make sure, like I said, number 1, your brakes are adjusted. Number 2, the ABS system gets a chance to exercise. Folks, you don't abuse your coach, you just don't use it enough. ABS is rarely used on an RV. It is in a lower spot in the air system, and the last thing we want to have is a possible ABS valve that gets gummed up and fails because it hasn't operated in 6-7 years of coach operation. So what we're going to have you do first is we're going to have you put your foot on the brake. Well, first of all, you need air in the gauges. So look at your gauges. Turn your key on. I see now, I'm just pretending I see gauges, but they're at 2 at 100 PSI. So I'm going to turn the key back off. I'm going to put my foot lightly on the brake. Do not take it off. Leave it on lightly. You don't need to press hard. If you want to press hard, it's up to you, but just lightly. Turn the key to the opposition and listen. You'll hear the pows. What we did there was we just fired off every ABS valve in your coach. If there's any debris, any moisture in these valves, we've expelled it onto the ground, we've exercised the ABS system. So that's the first thing. You notice I took my foot off the brake afterwards. Now, key back off. I only had 100 meg gauges, so you know what? We want to adjust brakes. This K3 coach has all disc brakes. I don't have to worry about doing this brake adjustment procedure because disc brakes will work off just normal brake operation. A normal brake stops between 15 and 25 PSI. You got 135 in the tank. Again, to get the brakes to adjust on disc, just normal braking. You don't have to do this. People that have any kind of drum brakes, and a lot of you will have them on the tag axle, some of you will have on the tag and drive. Some of the older coaches will have them on all your axles. So I'm going to look at my air gauges. They're at 105, so I'm going to bleed the system down. I'm going to start the coach up. Hit my high idle, brrr, comes up. I got high idle going. Poosh, I hear the coach blow off. Turn the key back off. Turn it back on. Release the park brake. Oh, geez, this is not, yeah, hang on. I'm putting my foot on the brake so it doesn't roll. This chassis is on a hill. I don't want to get run over. Fred Flintstone, all the way down, as far as that thing will go. Release, all the way down, as far as it goes. Pull the park brake, release. You have just successfully adjusted the brakes on your coach. One thing about automatic slack adjusters, they work off from stroke. It needs to have a minimum of 90 PSI to get those drum brakes to adjust. I don't want you rolling. 90 PSI will be a violent stop. You will rearrange the basement, you will unload cupboards, you'll make a mess out of your coach. So remember, keep your foot lightly on the brake so I don't roll. 2 good brake applications, pull. Do this every time before you start. One thing about automatic slack adjusters, if they're working properly, they will never over adjust. They will stay perfectly adjusted all the time. So the next time you go into the shop and the guy says, hey ma'am, I'll adjust your brakes there for you. Don't worry about it. You got your brake adjustment tool with you. It's your right leg. All right, I think we pretty much have covered just about everything on a Spartan chassis today, folks. Appreciate your time and thank you very much. Have a great day.